It's not just loving what you do, because the bigger your business grows, the less of what you love you will actually do. I think that most of that is self-sabotage from not thinking that you're good enough or actually good enough for what you do. There's the significance trap, then there's the money trap. So then you work as hard as you can to hit the financial goals, and then you get to all the money you ever wanted. And then you realize that money wasn't it either. So significance isn't it, and also money's not it, because there's so much that I won't do for money.
So, Steph, welcome back to the podcast for number 500.
I am down. Oh, we're here for 600 too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Mostly because we get to go have wines in a minute. So this might be a quick episode.
We're going to be out of here real fast.
But I want to have this conversation because I haven't caught up with you since you went to America. And I know that it was quite profound for you and quite transformative. You had a lot of internal shifts. And selfishly, I've just got lots of questions that I think listeners would really love to know as well. Before we sort of get into that, because you were in a room with some high achieving entrepreneurs, I want to know, for people that are listening that have thought, maybe I want a business, do you actually believe anyone can have a really, really successful 7 or 8 figure business? Can anyone do it?
Yes. I actually do believe it. And the more entrepreneurs at that level that I meet, the more that I know for sure.
Yeah.
The thing is you really have to want it. You really have to want to do it. That's it. That's literally it. And it's not for everybody. Like, everybody in that room loves the game of business. They don't just love what they do. They love the game of business. And I think that that's a big distinction between, it's not just loving what you do, because the bigger your business grows, the less of what you love you will actually do, which is crazy. And so as your business grows, you get sucked into wearing all these different hats. And yes, I think anyone can do it. Absolutely. I don't think you need people's skills. I think because any skill can be learned. It will take time. But I met people in the room that definitely at some level are on spectrum. Definitely, not the friendliest people. Some people that I thought were just absolute wankers. I met all of them. The nicest people I ever met. Oftentimes the biggest ones, the ones that made the most money. And we're talking like, and we mentioned $1 million a week, but there was guys in there that were making $52 million a year. It's just absolutely crazy. Like, just so insane that they just, it was crazy. So, and upwards of that, like 52, 58, 60, $100 million a year. Like one of their businesses, they have 5 businesses. One of their businesses making $52 million a year.
What sort of businesses were they?
He had a coaching program, but he also had a SaaS product that was like a software as a service. So something like school or whatever for IT companies.
Bloody hell.
He had another couple of businesses as well that were all in kind of similar veins. He basically had the one niche that he services and had multiple businesses that serviced that niche.
Far out. Okay, so anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it.
If anyone can do it, what do they need to be aware of? Because if people are listening, even myself, if we're listening and it's like, well, everyone can do it, so I'm going to do it. But what are the realities or the sacrifices, the hard truths that people need to be conscious of before they decide that this is the path for them?
Such a great question. I think that I think you'll agree with this, and I actually would love to hear your take on this. You're way more in this world, but just zooming back out, about the things that drove me in the beginning are very different to the things that drive me now. So the things that drove me at the beginning were significance. And I think a lot of people starting businesses start because of significance. So they'll start for 2 reasons, significance and money. And they say freedom. Most people want significance.
So true.
They want to be recognized. And I see it all the time. They're like, I want to be the person, the go-to. I want people to pay me well. I want, everyone wants PR from a really early stage in business. Everyone wants to be in Forbes and get awards and all this stuff, right? It's so true.
Yeah.
They want the significance.
Yeah.
They want to prove to people, and probably really they want to prove to themselves that they're worthy of it. At some level. And so that's the first thing. It's like, if you're doing this for significance, it actually is going to take you like 5 years to be significant.
Yeah.
And so you should just know that if you are the kind of person that's like, and you might not be aware of it, but you may hear it in me saying it. That was what drove me for sure. And I realized when I got the Forbes article that it meant nothing and it didn't matter at all. And that the accolades from everyone else didn't mean anything. And I still had a heap of self-hate that was driving most of me forward at the time. And so there's the significance trap. Then there's the money trap. So then you work as hard as you can to hit the financial goals. And then you get to all the money you ever wanted. And then you realize that money wasn't it either. So significance isn't it. And also money's not it, because there's so much that I won't do for money, like ever. And so significance isn't it, money isn't it. So then what the fuck is it? And so it comes down to eventually fulfillment. You have to love what you do every day. And I have a couple of examples of this where clients, do creative arts or crafts or whatever. And they're like, I'm going to turn this into a business. And I can tell you right now, that thing that you love as a hobby probably isn't good to do as a full-time job. And so there are some things that you're going to hate doing forever and ever and ever, even though you think you'll love them straight away. Like you and me, we loved one-to-one, deeply coaching people for like the first 3 years of our business. We were like, yes, and we still can enjoy it, but way like not the driving force now. Driving force is mass impact, bigger classrooms for you, like classrooms, right? So I think that just knowing that whatever you're starting with is probably going to change and adapt so much over the time that like over time I think you eventually lose focus of why you started in the first place, because I think it's just so wildly different.
That sounds hard.
Yeah, it is.
Like, did you have a moment where you woke up and was like, holy crap, what's this all even for?
All the time, to this day. And I think the one thing that keeps me on track is, okay, but what's the alternative? We were coming to this beautiful studio today and I was driving in the streets on the way here, and I happened to be going through peak lunchtime traffic. Everyone was out. They're all on their phones. A lot of them look really unhappy, walking around on someone else's time, taking their half an hour allotted time that they're allowed to take. And I just thought to myself, oh, that's not it. For me, that's not it. That's a lot of it for a lot of people, and that's okay. For me, it's not it. And so, yeah, what's the option? What are my options?
So would you say then that the most important thing, and the people that you were in the room with in America, these people that are, doing the business game, do most of them seem fulfilled to you?
So fulfilled.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And it's not just the money. I think the money helps. It's not just the money, but they're so fulfilled. And I think the fulfillment comes from the achievement. And I do think that you have to do something you love. I don't know anyone who does something. I don't think you would. You would know. I've never met an entrepreneur that suffered through something that they hated. Eventually it will grind you down as a person and you will not make the sacrifice. You'll still make the sacrifice for that. So it genuinely has to be something you love. You cannot do it just for the money. It sucks. Like you won't survive it. So it has to be something you love. It has to be something that excites you. And I think that you have to find the fulfillment, not in the big goals. I think that the big goals are the thing that drive you initially. So the first $10,000 a month, the first time you speak on stage, the first book you write, right? I think it's like, oh, you're writing a book. You might think, oh, I can't wait for the day it's on shelves and I'm having the book launch and blah, blah, blah. And I think you'll look back and you'll realize it was the moments alone in Bali writing the book that made the most difference, when you nailed that chapter and you got that line right and you read your own story back and you were like, this is epic. Like, I think that as entrepreneurs, the wins in business and the fulfillment has to come from the smaller milestones. Like Tim and I celebrate the most when we turn a new ad on and it gets leads and we're like, yes. Yeah, we'll high five in the kitchen. Another sale will drop in and we don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less. Like, great, someone's joined. I'm super excited to work with you. But the money itself isn't, we're way more excited by like something new that we've tested and tried that's working, or a client having a win because of something that we taught them. Way more fulfilling than having the big wins.
I think that's so huge. And it's so easy to look at. I can see how people could be forgiven for looking even at your Instagram and going, oh, it's so easy for them. They just go from strength to strength and it's so easy. And I can say as your best friend, like, fucking hell, if there is something I love and admire about you, it is how willing you are to do hard stuff. Like you make some scary decisions, ego death after ego death after ego death after. It's almost, I don't know how you are still living with all these ego deaths lately, but like I see that you're also willing to do the hard things. And there's been so many different iterations of that. So if we look back at your journey, and I only met you like 2 years into your journey, I think it was like the beginning of PMP, but there was a few years before that where you were at Audi when you first decided to change your whole life. What sort of iterations have you gone through where you've felt like sabotage, this can't happen, and where you've had to do the hard things at every phase of business?
So I'll be really honest, the only thing that happens at every phase is the story. So at every single phase, it's a story that stops you from getting to the next level. And then when you identify what the actual story is and you can change it, that's when it actually starts to move. That's when you'll move through to the next phase. Then often the story is entangled in an identity shift, which is really big and hard because whenever you shift an identity, you have to let things go. Things have to fall behind. And you will change, and that's uncomfortable. So from Audi to my first business, which was an events business, the story was I'm too dumb. The story was I'm too dumb to do this. I never had any formal education. I barely passed high school. I didn't go to university. I dropped out. I had no formal education. So how the hell could I do anything like ever? How could I do anything ever? Like, this is never going to work for me. And so the first story was I'm too dumb to do this. And that really played out heavily, like building my first website. It took me 6 months. I cried every day trying to build it because I felt so stupid that I couldn't get it and why I couldn't get it and why it's so hard. And like really hated the first, honestly, 6 months business, which is awful. Launched my first event and no one bought tickets. I had to cancel it. And lucky I had Tim in my corner just be like, do it. This is it. This is welcome to business. And so the iteration that took me from that to just keep going with that and eventually, and again, celebrating the small wins. All my friends bought tickets to an event and then one other person, I call them a stranger, one stranger bought a ticket and I was like, oh my God, something in my marketing worked. My spamming of Facebook groups. Something in my spamming of Facebook groups worked and someone signed up. They thought that I was legitimate enough to pay me $50 for a ticket. Oh my God, this is happening. And then, it was like, okay, now we're making big money. And the next shift was, am I actually going to quit my job and do this? Huge identity shift from being a worker to being self-employed. Mass fear, especially for me with, parents went bankrupt when I was quite young. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of money and yada, yada. What am I going to tell my parents? They're going to be so disappointed. All those things. So big identity shift there. Then once I got into entrepreneurship, I was like, I'm going to be the entrepreneur. Like, watch out, Lisa Messenger, because I'm coming for you. Like
I remember that season of yours. You actually on one of our, I don't know if you remember this, one of our team meetings in PMP, I think you suggested that we read Lisa Messenger. And I was like, who is she? I didn't even know who she was, but you were in that lane.
I was gunning for
ready.
her. I was like, I'm going to take you over.
Were getting her on your podcast and all this stuff. Like, she was definitely... I remember that season.
So I was like, that's it, girlfriend. Like, I was looking at other female big entrepreneurs in Australia and I was like, I'm going to gun you down. You watch me. You just watch. We're going to be best friends. Which is so funny. And I ended up not actually liking her that much later on in life in terms of like, there was a bit of a values misalignment later on as I kind of got to further on in entrepreneurship. But I went through this phase of like, okay, well, I'm here now, so I'm all in on this. So I got a $5,000 credit card. I paid for my first business coach. She was all right, but I learned some things, which was cool. And I went to Tony Robbins, and I started having some internal shifts. Okay, I have to think that I am this person before I become this person. So how does this person behave? And then I started behaving kind of like that daily, right? So that was kind of the next shift, and that took that business pretty far, to be honest. There was a lot of failures in that first business. There will be a lot of failures in anyone's first business.
That was House of Hobby?
House of Hobby. Yeah. There was lots of mess. Didn't know profit and loss, didn't understand money, almost had to fire a heap of people because I made really bad hiring decisions because I couldn't afford to actually pay them anymore. Lots of shitty things that I had to figure out along the way. And then COVID hit and I sold that business. And then the identity of, okay, I actually had fully taken on that I was Steph from House of Hobby. That was my name, Steph from House of Hobby. So when I sold that business, I remember calling my business coach at the time and now very good friend Ellie.
Yeah.
And I was crying and I said, if I'm not Steph from House of Hobby, who am I? Because I've been Steph at Aldi. Now I was Steph from House of Hobby. Who the fuck am I if I'm just Steph? And what an interesting reflection, because wild that I needed an identity to cling to. And I think, honestly, we had a conversation earlier, I think I've only just come out of that in the last couple of weeks of needing an identity to cling to that wasn't just, it was actually just who I am.
Yeah.
And so then I became Steph, the business coach, and then I wanted to, take over the world with business coaching and be the best business coach. And so I kind of clung to this new identity of being this professional woman that gets in Forbes. And I just went through this shift of needing validation really from other people to say that I was worthy of charging people the rates that I was charging. Grew that business, lots of identity shifts through there, and big money ones came through. That business really took me, and that was when I first met you. We went from 10K months to 100K months in 12 months, and that was the year that I met you. And the money identity shift really changed me. I felt like I couldn't talk to people anymore because I felt like they would judge me, or I thought money was changing me. Interestingly enough, I was just changing, and I was bagging the money out for being the problem. But the problem was that I was doing it in a way that wasn't making me happy. And I didn't think there was another way, so I was just clinging to it. And so there was a lot of dissolving of my belief systems about working hard to make money. There's a lot of dissolving of that in that period, and that was when I watched you go on your bike and travel around, and I thought, how is she making almost as much money as me, working literally 2 hours a day, just fucking around with Paul on her bike all day? I was like, excuse me, what is this? And that was when I started to believe a new story of, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be this hard. And that brought me into a kind of a new identity shift. And up until this time, I'd been really playing the good girl. I'd really played the pink, pretty good girl card to make people like me so they would want to buy from me. And at that point, that was no longer serving me. And that was when the black era came in, and the pendulum always swings very hard. So I went from being very soft girl to very hard girl very quickly. Now I think I've just come somewhere in the middle, just somewhere, I can be soft and I can also be pretty firm. So and so now, then I went into my hard bitch era where everything was like, I'm going to say it how it is. And, my content became quite preachy almost because I wanted to prove to people that I had something to say, And I think I really, really just come out of that in the last 6 months, I would say. Into just actually, there's somewhere in the middle, and I can be actually probably all of those things all at once. Yeah. And there's just been so many identity shifts along the way, and there's so many more within that.
That's in a really short period of time. It's been a lot of identity shifts in 5 years.
Yeah, 3 to 5. Probably 3 to 5 years from that one. Yeah,
which is crazy. And at every level, you've coached hundreds of business owners now. You've seen other people in the space, whether they're doing 6 figures a month or 6 figures a second. Yeah. Some of them, you've seen all of it. What would you say if we break it down into startup? People that are just starting, and then people that are scaling, and then people that are mass scaling.
Yep.
What have you seen as the patterns of sabotage or fears, things that can really stop people in their tracks? You've mentioned identity, you've mentioned things like that. What do you notice as the patterns at every level that people just need to clock? This is normal. This actually is what comes up, and that doesn't mean something's wrong, but just clock it.
Totally. So the first phase, I don't know exactly when it ends, but typically probably up to, I would say 20K months. I think they're probably up to 20K months, which is around, what is that, $300,000, $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
I think that most of that is self-sabotage from not thinking that you're good enough or actually good enough for what you do. And the second self-sabotage that's playing out, it's actually heaviest in this phase. And the other one's playing out is what people think.
100%. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And those two are very heavy sabotages on their own. So not good enough is already big and very hard to navigate.
Yeah.
And what will they think is huge. And I think having both of those, which I think will, honestly, I would say that once you get past 20K months, you resolve that money stuff. So you know that you can do it. You've done it consistently for a little while, 300,000 or 400,000. You've got proof. You've got runs on the board. You've got some momentum. I think it starts to feel a little bit more safe that you're proving to yourself and to others that you can do it, and you kind of know that you're kind of good enough at some level. Otherwise, people wouldn't even pay you at some level. So it does kind of disintegrate at that point. But those first few years really are just so hard.
I feel like mindset is the number one. Like I always say to anyone starting a business, mindset in the startup phase is the most important. It doesn't ever become not important, but it's all that putting yourself out there. What are my colleagues going to think? What are my family going to think?
Can't post on LinkedIn.
No. Oh, sales, gross. I'm not a money person. Like all of it is so heavy when you're starting.
Totally.
And
Really
the
big.
sabotage I see in the beginning phase is I'll go small.
Yes.
I'll just shrink myself a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's actually the opposite of what your business needs.
Totally.
At that phase.
Like I had a conversation with someone the other day, and she was like, cool, I'm just going to do this. She works with people who have a lot of money. She goes, I'm going to do this thing for $44. And I was like, why? Your audience have a lot of money. Very, very wealthy, asset-rich people. Because they're in a lot of debt. And I was like, no, they're asset-rich. There's a very big difference between people who are in debt and people who, like, there's good debt and bad debt. These people are in very, very good debt. And I was like, $44, they're going to think that, I think it's too cheap. I wouldn't buy it because I think it looks too cheap.
Yeah.
And so you're not taking yourself seriously, so why would I take you seriously? And I think that there's something that happens here right at that phase where they shrink, they undercharge, they hide, they blend in, so all their stuff looks the same. They go for browns and neutrals and beiges and, you know, and I get it. We've all been there. I did like all the very, very, I used to just black and white, just subdued, really just subdued pinks.
Yeah.
You know, don't want to stand out.
Graphics.
Yep, very much. I mean, I still use Canva graphics, but not well-designed ones. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you're right. What your business needs in that first bit is like you need a gung-ho.
You need to get louder when you're the most scared. When you're the most scared in the startup phase, I feel like that's when your business needs you to be freaking courageous.
Totally.
And it's icky and it's cringy.
So icky and cringy.
Cringe.
It's so hard. That phase is honestly
it's a cringy phase.
If you could get past that phase, guys, I promise business gets easier.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually remember you saying to me, I don't know, it must have been during P&P, you said the hardest is getting to your 10 and 20K months.
For sure.
And I agree with you. I'm like, 100% that's the hardest. You're learning the most new skills. You're getting past all the mindset things.
Totally.
You're sabotaging in a real, like you said, it's self-sabotage.
Yes.
Then there's a new phase.
Yes.
After 20K months, when you're starting to move into, 20, 40, 50, 100K months.
Yeah.
What have you noticed there are the main patterns of sabotage and fear that presents itself? What was your experience too? 20
to 60K months. So at around that $700,000 a year, $800,000 a year, you'll see another stop that will happen there. And what will happen is to go from 20 to 60, you don't have to work really hard, but you will work really hard because you don't know another way. So to get from 0 to 10 or 20, you can pretty much hustle. You'll hustle that there yourself. That's no problem. But then at 20, you probably are gaining some momentum and things will start to happen quite quickly. And you won't have the time to or conscious awareness to know what's coming to hire people or be ready for the growth that's about to happen because you're still believing that I can't believe this happened. Like you're not ready for what's coming next. Yeah. And so what will happen is that you will just keep saying yes because this is what I wanted, isn't it? I wanted clients. I wanted more money. I want to hit 50K months. I want these things. And so you will take on a ton of clients and you will burn. This is where this burnout is very, very rife in this phase. And it will be scary to hire people. You won't have systems and processes in place to do it. You'll try hiring someone and it will not go well for you. This is just part of it, guys. And then you will create a story that no one can do it the way that I can do it. So then the next story is either two things. One, I'll keep small. That's it. I don't even want this that badly anyway. I'm not going to sacrifice time with my family for this. Like this, the story runs. Like it does. It's exactly. I see it all the time. Yeah. The story runs. It's not worth it. I'm not going to do this. It's just that you're at a new level of skill. And then the level of skill is that you have to find a way to create systems and processes and hire team members for your business to be able to take it to the next level. To be able to give yourself the space and time that you need to grow the business. And so that's the story that will come up is it's all too hard and I'm just going to play down here because it feels safer and comfortable. And most people at this point are achieving a level of financial freedom they didn't expect to achieve. So like I should just be grateful here. Even though their mission is actually much bigger. So once you get past 60K months, getting to 100 is really easy. So if you can hit 60, 65, 70, you're there. Like
Yeah.
it'll happen within 6 months. It'll go really quickly for you. Because to get to 65-ish, 70K months, you've typically built out enough of the team, the systems, the processes. You've got it dialed in enough to get enough of those marketing systems happening that you can pretty much guarantee that what you've done before is going to keep working. 100K months is where the next thing hits. So most people get stuck at 100K months or somewhere between 100 to 130. They'll loop there.
Yeah.
And the reason they'll loop there is because the things that got you there will not get you to the next level. So from 50K months to 100K months, you'll zoom in because all of the marketing, all of the systems, all the things that are designed to attract that level of person will get you to the 100K month point. At the 100K month point, it's actually about doing a lot less. So to get to 100K months, you may have added extra systems in, extra revenue streams or extra things in to get there because you just wanted to hit the number usually. And then what will happen is that you, at this point to go to 200K months, you actually need to peel back completely. And you have to choose if you hadn't already done it, you really have to choose one niche. You really have to choose one offer. There is no two ways about it. It's just two ways about it.
Wow. There are so many identity shifts within that. Even like all of a sudden you go from I saw this for you actually. You were the salesperson, the coach, the everything, and then all of a sudden you had to relinquish control to team.
And Tim.
You've had to do this on so many different levels, which is so scary.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I would personally, I've seen it for myself too. I can do it myself. I don't need anyone else. I've got this. So I resonate with so much of it. Do you find now when you're in that 7-figure mark, your business is at the 7-figure mark, people are in the 8-figure mark, all of that. What would be surprising for people to know, for those who are listening that are like, oh, fuck that. That sounds like more team, more pressure, more stress, more responsibility. Like what are some things that have surprised you in that realm?
Two things. One thing that took me a really long time to make acceptance and peace with, and I feel like I've only just made peace with it in the last 6 months, has been that it's a sales and marketing machine. There's no two ways about it. And people will leave. That's going to happen. And you could have the best product in the world and people will leave. People are going to leave. So, or like, make a new choice or whatever. So you're always going to lose people out the back end. And so you constantly, it's a machine. There is no two ways about it.
Yeah.
And the sooner you just accept that is the way that it is. I tried so hard. You worked with me. Well, I worked really hard on this. I was like, how can I make this the best thing ever for the clients so they never, ever, 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 ever leave? You're wasting it. Yes, make it the best product for sure. Yes, but people aren't just leaving because of your product. Sometimes they are. Definitely sometimes they are. But fix it to the best that you can. Make it the best thing that you are proud of, that you know for sure works, that gets your clients results. And if people leave, that's just part of the game. And so I think I tried so long listening to Heber Hormozy podcast being like, if you just retain every client you ever got, like guys, it's unreasonable. It's unreasonable. It's not going to happen. There's no business that happens. So hanging out with people who are doing $1 million a week, I learned there is no business that happens. Like it's a sales and marketing machine. You need to figure out how to sell or find someone who can, and you need to figure out what your marketing channels are. And it's just, and the second thing, the most, actually 3 surprising things, it's just a numbers game. So like it's actually so mathematical and so logical. It's wild. It's just so much the case of like, okay, so this, and we spoke about this the other day. There's this many people coming to my website. I know that if there's that many people coming to my website, I'll make this many sales. So that means I just need to dial up my ad spend or nail in my organic content to be able to drive that much traffic to my page, figure out what drives the most traffic to my page, do more of that content so that I drive this much traffic to my page so I can guarantee the sale. And it is spot on every time. It's crazy how mathematical it is. And so that's removed a lot of the emotion of the process for me, which has been really cool because you just do the thing to do the thing and then you just do the thing. And that's just it's so simple. I think the reason I rejected it for so long was because it felt too simple. And it's actually so relieving how simple it is.
Wow.
And the third thing is that everybody at the top has so much time. That was the biggest thing. And I know that that was the one you were kind of digging for in the conversation here, which was, I was really surprised. I thought, Tim and I went to this event and I thought, this is the second time we've met these people. So the first time we met them was 3 months ago. And we were on the way over there and we were like, we're going to be so chilled compared to everybody there. Could you imagine $1 million a week, how fucking stressed they must be? They must be so crazy. And literally, we got there and the first people we spoke to, this is so embarrassing. The first people we spoke to, they were so relaxed. They were sitting on back on chairs. And I was like, oh, how have you guys been? Like, oh, we've actually been offline for the last 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we just got our surfboards. And we just went out to the middle of the ocean in Fiji for the last 2 weeks and we've just been surfing. I literally haven't looked at my phone. Today's the first time I picked my phone up. And their businesses, I'm talking $1 million a week businesses, they're just running.
Proper CEO.
Proper. They're they bring their wives, they all have their kids, they bring their nannies, and the wives come to all the events and they're with new babies. I'm talking new babies. They were 3-month-olds. And it really showed me that once you get through, so we're in a phase and there's the next phase. And in this phase, there's a set of skills that we need to learn. And that set of skills is hiring and managing players. Really, really, really strong leaders, really strong people. We don't know how to do that yet. We don't know how to build really great company culture. We don't know how, we're getting there, but we're definitely not nailing it yet. And the minute that we nail that, that's when that next level will unlock for us. And so now it's just a game of every day, Tim's reading how to be a sales manager books. We're watching videos in the afternoon, every afternoon about how to be better managers, how to build company culture, how to build a company that people want to work for, how to remunerate people, what the KPI should look like for certain roles. We're just deep in the skill of learning it because that's the unlock for sure. And when you get the A players, guys, you won't need to drag them. They just do.
Yeah.
They just do. Yeah. And I think that's why everyone's so chill at the top. They're so chill.
That's insane.
We're not chill in comparison.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty chill. I have afternoons free every day. I sit my hot up. These guys are even more chill.
And I think they would have gone through maybe they all went through, would you say they're chill now?
Yeah.
But let's not look at their now and say it's always going to be easy. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Have you noticed
Incredible.
They also went through a season of so much sacrifice? The reality of getting to that point, is there just sacrifices that people just need to accept right now if they're going to go forward on this path?
There's a couple of things you will have to accept. One is that you will either sacrifice time or money.
Yep.
And I'm just going to play that out in a really real way so that people can understand and comprehend what that means. But you will either sacrifice time by the way of you will have to give it your all the time. I have mostly sacrificed time. We're very cash rich or cash wealthy, I would say, because we have sacrificed so much time. So you've seen me work very, 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 very hard, very extended periods of time. But that's not the only way that you can do it. If you are willing to reinvest back into your business, a lot of people do it a lot faster, or not a lot faster, but in a different way, a lot more chill, because they just don't take big wages or have big profits left in the business because they reinvest all their profit back in. And so because of that, they hire great people or they learn those skills quite quickly. It is trial and error. You will hire shit people repeatedly and then you will figure it out. That's just how it works.
Not me.
Obviously, you're perfect. But, oh no, hiring you? Yeah, no, you were perfect.
That was so funny. That was the funniest thing. I remember, we won't talk about it, but I just remember when we did our quote interview.
Yes.
It was 10 minutes on the phone and you were just like, yeah, come work for me. And I was like, was that the interview? Was that it? So I'm excited to see your leadership and training skills evolve.
And we have a 4-stage interview process now.
Yeah. When I started with you, it was very much we vibed. I loved it was so not, I'm even reflecting now on how much you've had to change and develop your skills because I've been in your interview process. 4 years ago, it was not an interview process. It was, so magical and so aligned, and I'm so happy it happened. But I'm so happy to see it's cool to watch your skills evolve.
You also saw me get burnt.
Yeah, 100%.
From that interview process, not with you, obviously.
Yeah.
But you saw that play out in real time.
And it's a testament to you that you haven't let that close down your willingness to trust again. Because you said that the people right up here, they've taken the emotion out.
Completely.
They've just built a machine.
Yep.
What then do you say to the people who are these, quote, heart-based business owners, heart-led, soul-led business owners who are there for massive impact, human connection, all of that deep stuff. Do these people up there just go past there, or are they still very heart-centered in all of that and they lead with their heart up the top too?
Just define lead with your heart.
That's such a good point. Do they look at numbers and the main metric is bottom dollar?
It's not dollar. All of them will measure all metrics.
Yeah.
The people at the top are measuring 200 metrics a week, like minimum, like without doubt. So there's the money metrics. Great. But yeah, these people would never, most of these people would never put something out that wasn't helping people.
Yeah.
And so then most people will do some level of NPS scoring.
Yeah.
So making sure that their clients are actually happy with the services, and they are heartbroken when their clients are not. So if that answers your question, so I'll give you an example. There's someone at the top, I'm not going to name names, and they had an incredible kind of like 7-figure level network for it was a coaching program. So they have a level that's under that, and they have a level that's for like 7-figure entrepreneurs. And it's been the creme de la creme of their business for years, for a very, very long time. And recently they made the decision to I don't know what happened. They must have done a big marketing spree on it. And they let a bunch of people in, I think like 30 or 40 people in. And they let a lot of the wrong people in. And 3 months down the track, we're now 3 months down the track, and it's a ghost town. No one talks, no one's commenting. And it's not the owner of the company. It's not actually his responsibility to manage that. It's another guy that was in the room. It's his responsibility to manage it. Both were heartbroken. Both were heartbroken. They were like, this is so substandard. We had this amazing thing and we ruined it. We have to fix it. But they also see it as, we just have to fix it. And this is just a moment in time and we just need to fix it. And they're not like butthurt about it, crying on the shower floor. I mean, maybe, but they're just like, okay, we have a problem. That didn't work. There's a big lesson. We need to make an apology. We probably need to give them 3 months free or a refund. Or we need to put on a really fucking good Christmas party and make it epic and fix it, kick some people out. But there's some stuff we need to do, and we just need to do that. And I think that what happens with the group of people that you're talking about that aren't at that level, that are heart-centered, they make meaning from it.
The emotions are running the show.
It's just way too hard.
Yeah.
Because it's yes. Like, so yes, these people have hearts. Of course they have hearts. I'm going to say not all of them.
Yeah.
Of course. 90% of them have hearts, honestly. Really good people, really want to help people, have very big vision, much bigger vision than actually their business now. Most of them are onto more world-saving level vision.
Stuff,
yeah. But I would say they care very deeply about their teams and they care very deeply about their clients. But that doesn't mean that they only make decisions based on those metrics either. Because at the end of the day, to pay their team and to actually run an event and to keep an event or to keep these things running for clients, there has to be money. Because if there is no money, there is no business. And if there is no business, those clients go out into the world and get suffocated by somebody else's shitty product or shitty thing in the world. Or like, I mean, how many awful NLP courses are there in the world that are just mass manipulation tools for taking people's money, right? And so we have this almost obligation to, if you are a heart-centered person, to run it like a fucking business. Because if you don't run it like a business, it will not survive. And then you're just going to leave people out in the wild, free to go and get burned by a ton of other people. It sucks.
I love that. It gets to be both, and it is both.
Yes.
So moving forward, we're wrapping this up because I want to wine.
It's time for wine. I want to talk about all this later.
With wine. Moving forward, 2025.
Yeah.
What's next for you, and what sort of sabotagey patterns do you need to be aware of at the level you're at now?
It's great. I actually feel so proud of us. I would just say, like, I feel super proud. We have really genuinely built something the vehicle that's going to take us there without sacrificing the things that I've been scared of sacrificing, which are 2 things. 1, client experience. I want to be the coach in the program. Yeah. That is a non-negotiable. So because I want to continue being the coach in the program, I don't want to just bring other coaches. Like, that's not how this looks. So, but we're fortunate enough, not fortunate, we did it, that we built a business that gets us where we're going financially to allow us to do the next thing, because we really want a retreats-based business in the future. I don't think that's going to happen next year. Probably the year after. Next year, we're hoping to get Breanna. So I don't think it's a good time.
We as in you and I?
You and I, yes.
Of course.
We
Just
are
so that
aiming
we've got that
yes,
on the same
very
level.
clear.
Good.
We are trying to get
Good.
pregnant, yes, with our respective husbands.
Together.
Separately. Yeah, separately. Different rooms. At least different rooms. Yeah. And so the goal is big retreats.
Love.
Really like the next iteration, I would say, of Tony Robbins, that just a little bit less wild and exhausting and transforming and stuff, just a bit more like normal. And so that's kind of the goal, but that's kind of a 3 to 5 year goal for us. The vehicle to drive us to the point where that becomes a reality for us, both financially and being able to get the sponsors and the backers and because it's a big thing, it's a really expensive and big thing to do. This current business will take us there without sacrificing too much of the things that matter: time freedom, lifestyle freedom, and client experience. Are the 3 things that matter most to me. And so, so the next year is just really doubling down and making sure that we hit our goals over the next 2 years, so that in 3 years we can do the thing we really want to do.
And what are the patterns that you need to be aware of next year that stop you?
2 patterns: money stuff, for me, and I have really hectic money stories. And they all creep up when we're about to make big moves. We're going to go into a period of what we would call a reinvestment period. So you will have these at different phases in business. We're about to go into one, which means that pretty much everything we earn will be poured back into the business. So we may even dip into our kitty. And we have both become okay with the fact that we may even cut our salaries to make sure that we can do it. So there are reinvestment periods in business, and we're about to go into one. And we're hoping that it just pays off and we won't have to do those things, but it may not, and we're willing to do that. So money stuff. And not getting too caught up in other people's stories. I'm doing a very big pull on social media at the moment, unfollowing a lot of people. It's like, hey, I'm not unfollowing you. Not you or anyone listening probably. But unfollowing, muting, really being very, very cautious of what stories I buy into, because I can get I'm very easily influenced.
But that's part of being open-minded. You're just an open-minded person. You don't close things down, and I think that's like the shadow side of being open-minded. You can be influenced because you're open to it. Which is beautiful.
Which is why you can always twist my arm for a night out.
So on that note, we're going to go. Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too.
If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to hit like and maybe consider subscribing. This really, really helps to grow this podcast, and it is a massive mission of mine to get you incredible guests and to increase and up-level all the production so that I can help you to create your dream life, to get the most out of yourself, the most out of the people that you serve. And so please hit subscribe now, and I will see you back here in the next video.